go for.
All right, let's check it.
You call it.
All right.
All right, let's go.
And down. 1, 2, thrice. 4,
Good form.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Bump it. Twist it. Pull it. Keep going. Bump it. Oh,
I'm done.
okay.
Wow.
We're off.
Wow.
Sick.
This is awesome.
It's good.
I've never done. Okay. We're on. We're on.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to adjust this. However, you know how it works. You're used to being in front of Mike before, so
I suppose.
yeah.
Yes.
So I
This
guess
is,
the one thing that you want to do.
Sorry, do it like how we record.
oh, closer.
Yeah.
Ooh, you want that AMSR?
Oh, there you go. Right side, left
Hello.
side.
Right side, left side.
We just did about 20 odd push-ups.
That was actually a pretty good effort.
Yeah, thank you very much, Angus.
you.
That was really
Pleasure.
good. I needed that.
Yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
didn't know it. So your invitation to do something was very well met. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I just needed to. Well, I wanted to know what you usually do to get ready, and so all we did was, you had these things and.
Oh yeah, that was like a Matthew McConaughey
That's right.
extension. Or,
Can you do a McConaughey impression?
oh yeah. All right.
All right.
That was so
He
good.
likes to whistle when he talks. Yeah, he's got a lot of. He does.
He does.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. He does. Hey, let's pop our bubble tea.
Yes.
Oh my.
My pleasure.
I don't need that for now.
Oh, is there a ritual to this?
Is there a ritual?
Yes.
No, usually pop it and then I'll cheers you, and then you want me to show you something cool in an Asian custom?
Yes, please.
So if when you go to have like yum cha, have you ever been to yum cha before?
I have.
Yeah. Okay. So whenever you cheers with a client or someone like that who you very much more respect,
Okay.
then you would actually put your drink at a lower stance than the other person.
Oh.
Yeah. So your teacup.
As a sign of respect.
As a sign of respect, like they are higher than you, and so
That's dope.
yeah. So I learned that when I was dining with a lot of like wealthy Chinese clients, and they were a lot older than me. And so one of my mentors said to me, "Hey, bring your teacup down." I said, "Huh?" And he said, "Bring your teacup down." I said, "All right, cool." So
Hang on.
as a sign of
stab
yeah,
it.
go for it. Yeah, as a sign of respect,
Oh,
I'm gonna. I got you.
thank you. I appreciate that. That's a very kind thing to do for the guests. I'm going to beat you to it, but
Very good.
there's nowhere to go. There's no lower to go.
We've started from the bottom, and now we're here.
It's all up from here. Dude, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's a really lovely gesture.
No, it's cool,
A
man.
really lovely gesture.
Well, next time that you're doing a casting and you have the producers there, and they all happen to be from, Tencent, who happens to run every single movie now these days. So they seem to put all their money. Like, didn't they sponsored? No, they paid for the production for Mission Impossible as well.
Oh, right. Oh, these.
No, as in like Chinese companies now.
Oh,
yeah, they're
gotcha,
trying to
gotcha.
break into the Hollywood market.
Yeah, well, it's a big market now. Like they're competing on a level that, I'm sure. I hope that what would be your favorite film to come out of China? Have you seen any films that have really taken your interest?
It's the biggest one is the biggest grossing one was the Battle at Lake Chongqing,
Okay.
which was a war movie, and they basically made the American soldiers look like idiots.
Oh.
They made the Chinese soldiers look so good, and then they made all the American soldiers look like, boo, like you made the stupidest decisions. I thought that was very, it's a very China production.
Right on.
Without getting cancelled.
Yeah,
without getting cancelled.
Is that a fine line to walk?
I think nowadays it is, especially with so much global thingy that's going on as
Yes.
well. And then I myself, I still have family members in China, so I don't want them to go to jail because
That's a
Fair?
fair.
Yeah.
Is that something to
consider
when making decisions, or certainly in what you say or what you post, that is a consideration.
I think that's the same for everyone these days. Like we
Wow.
live in a society these days.
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy to get cancelled. Like, you know, poor James Gunn. Remember a bit when he was filming Guardians 3, just in the early days?
Yeah.
Someone pulled out this article from ages ago when he was, you know, making fun of, or he was talking about homophobic things, and then they went hard at him and shut him down.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's tough when, your entire back catalogue of anything you've ever. I mean, it's certainly. I think it inspires people just to maybe think, pause for that extra second before you just launch into something. I say, it's because those things are there now forever for the most part. Most things are recorded. It seems now. I know it's, it's not maybe recording it to somewhere, but certainly I learned that like the phone listening thing, I thought that was a myth, but it ain't a myth. It definitely.
When you shout out, "Hey Alexa," or "Hey Google," it's always listening, right?
Always listening.
Yeah, you just don't know. Hey, we should drink this.
Yeah, we should drink this.
You tell me how you feel.
Wait, one more cheers.
One more cheers to you.
I'd like to.
Oh, too kind.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look at this. Two cultures coming together. This is Australia.
Right.
This is what Australia's about. We need some more Asian representation on Home and Away.
For sure. For sure. I think is there any representation at the moment?
For
Home and Away.
Home and Away? I reckon, well, if you think about Australia, right? I've asked other people, other guests who, have who are in the food industry here in Australia, or they're food bloggers or they're influencers, and I usually ask them, when you welcome someone from overseas, when they ask you, what is the flavor of Australia? What is the identity of Australia? Right? And they always say it's a big melting pot.
Yes.
Right? But obviously Home and Away started in the early 90s, right? And
it's an institution. That show has been going on for so long. Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't even drink it.
Man, we got a lot to talk about.
Oh, man. It's okay. This is fully charged, so we can go all night.
All right.
Thoughts? Yeah.
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 That's a straight up win. I think the combination you suggested was good as well. And the owner, remind me of the owner's name. Peng.
Yeah.
He seemed like he's like, that's a good combination.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. He would have. I bet. Do you think there's a secret? Is there a secret menu?
You could, like KFC secret menu.
Yeah.
So I got a few friends that own different chains.
No way.
I won't say their names.
Okay.
But they have to buy from their supplier.
Yes.
But when their mates come along, they have specific tea that their supplier is not allowed to know about. And then so they'll make this special tea for their friends.
Like special tea?
So special.
What's in that thing? I'm intrigued.
Well, if you think about, even if you think about in the music industry, right? Mm-hmm. There are specific sounds that a band might have.
Signature.
So if you think about a big franchise, like let's say McDonald's, they won't let you go out and buy buns from Woolworths if you've run out. Right? You have to get the Macca's buns.
Right.
Same goes with some of the tea shops, the big brands. If you run out of pearls, or if you run out of particular, like a tea base, you have to purchase it again from the supplier.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's holding him over a barrel.
I actually think in terms of the bubble tea industry, if you have a massive corporation like a Gongcha or a Cha Time or something like that, there is so much money to be made as a master franchisee.
I've not heard that term, a master franchisee.
Yeah.
I grew up on these teas. Like when I would go to Melbourne, these were one of my favorite drinks because didn't have them necessarily where I grew up in the country.
Yes.
So I didn't necessarily have these, but when I go to the city, it was special. This is a bit of a nostalgia trip.
Is it?
Yeah.
I want to talk about that afterwards. But
sure.
In terms of Melbourne, let's go back to that topic about Australia. What is Australia's? Well, you've been featured in so many iconic Aussie shows, right? What is Australia's identity to you?
Australia's identity. That's a great question. I'd say I want to ask you that question, but do you want me to give?
Oh, no, people come press this button to play and hear you, brother.
Well, it's a collab, as we discussed.
I love it.
It's a collab.
I'm in.
I think, to me, Australia's very much still in its infancy. Like I know in terms of its culture, it's developing, and I actually think it's rapidly accelerating now because it's opened up, and I think certainly since the advent of the internet and things. But it was relatively young, obviously, just in terms of colonization, obviously, but before that, rich history, and I think that's something that often gets. I wish I learnt more about that, particularly in school growing up. There was an element of it, but I just think this notion that it's evident that it didn't start, obviously, with colonization. And it's been really, I feel like that's opening up now and it's actually helping.
Yeah.
I think it's helping the entire culture develop as well, because you can't just I think New Zealand's a country to me that had a great integration of that as well. They seem to have, I mean, it's obviously still not an ideal scenario, I guess, when there's colonization like that. But there was a bit more of an integration, I think, with, the traditional owners there and what goes down. And I feel like, there's such a great synthesis, crazy, not ideal stuff goes down, but I suppose it's what we do from here forward. And so that integration and certainly learning from it as well, because I think there's so much that as I get older, I'm definitely embracing more that I'm not so convinced that we're at the pinnacle of our I know in many ways of civilization in terms of our intelligence and our technology. It's insane, it's wild, but I reckon there's knowledge that gets lost along the way that is equally valuable and mind-blowing as well,
And I think that's why when it comes to looking at the past, when I visit overseas, you visited overseas, even when you went to India to shoot Hotel Mumbai, you see the stuff that's been there for thousands of years, and you think of the stuff that's been here in Australia, the stuff that we see there. There's only been around for you see in buildings 1800. It's not that old.
No, that's what I mean when I say it's infancy. I mean those sort of things.
Yeah,
you're right. Because what would you see when you're in some of the places you visited? What sort of dates are you seeing on those buildings?
Oh, you talking about even when you go to China, you talk about things from the dynasties. This is built in the Qing dynasty, and you go, what the freak? How long ago was that? And so
how long ago is that?
Oh, I don't know, thousands and thousands of years ago, right?
Just a different dimension.
One of the things I really want to do is go to Israel and do the Nazareth trek to go back to 0 BC. No, 0 AD.
Yes.
You know that?
That's a great idea.
That's nuts. When you think about it that way. This is such a fresh country.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's got so much potential now to really take ownership, I think, of where that goes.
Yeah.
But I love that, man. I would love, is that a trip that you think you would lock in sooner rather than later?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what really gets me though? Whenever I fly back home from overseas and you jump onto, when you're with Qantas and I still call Australia home when you're landing. Does that get you?
Yeah, it gets me.
It gets you, right?
It gets me. That song, that reminds me, I'm pretty sure that they shot that. You have to correct if this is incorrect, but I've heard this, and maybe it's an urban myth, but they shot that whole thing, the choir in the desert. That's the one.
Yeah.
And then the dude that was running the footage back in the day, because it was film footage, accidentally exposed the footage.
Oh.
He was a runner and accidentally exposed it to light and lost the whole shoot. The whole shoot. And I think they had this. What I heard, they had to redo that entire thing, get them all back out in the desert. Can someone myth bust that if it's not true? Someone might have just led me down the garden path with
I'll post this, and then we'll see whoever, people can myth bust that.
Yeah. That'd be good, because I don't want to throw anonymous runner who may have never worked again.
That's right.
Ever.
Exactly. I want to go back all the way to the beginning.
Sure.
You talked about many times in interviews and stuff like that your family held the fort when you were doing H2O, when you're doing your shows and all that from the beginning. What does that mean to you when your family holds the fort?
Well, to me, it's love in action. Is how I translate it now. At the time, I was probably, I don't think I fully comprehended just how much sacrifice they were making in order for me to go and do these things. Not just my mum and dad, but my brothers as well. Like it was it's exciting, obviously, and very out of the box thing for a country kid to be heading off to do these series. At the time, we didn't know that they were going to be as big as they were, but particularly my dad as well, like holding down a farm solo, so that I could go and do that stuff while mum, and mum as well. Like I was pretty damn young when I went and did that. So very formative years, and I think that the older I get, the more I reflect on, to just be like, that was a Herculean effort on my family's part.
Yeah.
So it's not a solo. Any of that thing that worked it was not a solo thing whatsoever.
So every time that you think about your career or people go, oh, you did this in your career, you think about the family side, right? Like, hey, my parents are just as part of this as I am.
I can say that now.
Yeah.
At the time, I was probably caught up in my own, like, wow, like this is wild. Like I knew, but now that, I didn't have the scope of life experience to fully grasp what they had done, and also they support so much still. Like they haven't lost that, and I'm a very lucky individual.
Yeah. So when in hindsight now, you think about it, were you more driven by maybe your ego, or were you more driven by your gratefulness back then?
Oh, Nathan. I would have to say I think it was equal parts ego and naivety and passion as well, mixed in there as well. So like enthusiasm, which I would say is gratitude. I definitely loved the ride that it was, and the people that I was meeting, and the work itself I thoroughly loved. So I think that enthusiasm. But yeah, man, I think it would be remiss of me to say that I didn't pause to really maybe analyze just how much this was being completely pillared by my family, and not just from my family, but all my, people from back home and friends and extended family as well, and community in general. So my ego definitely probably, unbeknownst to me, but was just like,
yeah.
of course.
Well, when you look back on it, would there be anything different that you would tell yourself back then when you were shooting as a teenager, that what you would do now?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to yourself back then?
What would I say?
If you could jump in a time machine right now and say,
okay,
hey, Gus, look, I know you're on the show and things are doing pretty well right now.
Yes. I would say get quiet for a start. Like, hey, Gus, brother, hey, man, this is going to sound crazy. You don't know me just yet, but you will. I will need you, or I would encourage you to get into some form of mindfulness and relaxation and meditation. It would be really wise of you to learn that stuff now. Because I actually think if I had have stopped and paused, that stuff naturally would occur. Because it did later down the track. I couldn't say for sure, but I think there was so much excitement and so much adrenaline and so much, flash, like, wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what those terms were of like mindfulness or meditation or anything like that. And I think that gratitude, that's probably the thing I take from those practices now, is that the relaxation allows a natural gratitude to occur, and new thoughts new perspectives to emerge.
Yeah. So would you say that you were more driven or dragged when you were young then?
Oh, that's a good question. Driven or dragged? Ooh. It just felt like I'd gotten on a roller coaster. So whatever that motion of a roller coaster is, like, I guess that's dragged in a sense.
Right.
But I wouldn't have said that at the time. But driven as well. Like, definitely at the end of the day, I had to do the things to keep the tracks, to keep the tracks moving and to be rolling down them. So a bit of column A, a bit of column B.
Well, because you have to get into the vehicle first, right? So
Yeah, it's free will. Yeah.
yeah. So you have to make that decision to get in there and be a part of it, and then go all in, right? It's pretty damn good, right?
It's pretty damn good. Actually,
you can chew the stuff into the mic, and whoever's listening to this, they can pay. We can set up a Patreon for this. If you wanted to hear Angus McLaren chew on toppings,
your dreams have just come true.
All these teenage girls going, "Oh my gosh, Lewis chewing on toppings, let's go."
I never thought I'd hear that sentence ever said, Nathan. But lo and behold, here we are. May it be 10:14. Yeah, this is a vibe. I'm well and truly on board with this. What was the question?
Yeah, you're jumping on the roller coaster. So your free will. You had to jump on the roller coaster.
It was a free will decision. Very, very much so. And I actually genuinely thoroughly enjoyed performing and still do. But in that time, I didn't particularly vibe sitting in a classroom. And I loved being creative and I loved using my imagination. And I loved being on set as well, and it was a real bond with my family. It was I would never change anything. I would never change anything. So me going back when I say that, I suppose, these are just things. It would have probably saved a few, like getting my hands burnt on the fire multiple times. But that happened. I mean, that's the journey, right?
And are they more lenient towards you when you're younger as well?
Yes, I think there is that. There's certainly some leniency around that. How did you, do you find that for yourself when you were younger? Did you have, do you think that there's more scope for that, what would I call it? Yeah, just that people are more understanding that you're learning. Did you find that?
Of course.
Yeah.
I've made mistakes in the bank when I was 18 years old, and I'm so grateful for some of those bosses to go, hey, you know what? I'm not even going to consider this a warning. You're 18, 19. You got a lot ahead of you, so we're going to learn from a mistake, don't do it again. But whereas someone else, in their maybe 30s doing, same mistakes, then they'll probably go, hey, this is actually a official warning for you. And then look, again, with that driven drag stuff, when I was younger as well, my parents happened to want to dip my foot into every single thing that was out there.
Right.
Yeah, so they chucked me into commercials and, chucked me,
Right.
Right. I think this is where my love for TV, movies and all that came in.
Yes, this is making sense. Did you enjoy that process?
I don't know.
No,
if I'm honest with you.
You don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was young, you were literally just thrown in there. Mum goes, oh, look, there's a casting, so... go out, do the casting, and then if you get the job. And back then, I was really lucky because there weren't very many Asians in that sphere. And I had I got a lot of opportunities as well. But after I think my parents realized that I was getting fat, I was like, yeah, he's not getting no jobs.
Did they say that to you?
Oh, my dad has said that a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was like, whoa. That's... maybe it was sometimes they say rejection is a form of protection as well.
That's right.
And I wouldn't hold on to that all the way. I think sometimes rejection's like, as you said, a bit of a warning where you're like, okay, I need to change a few things here and look at my behavior and my beliefs. But I think...
Try to think of that in a dating concept. Yeah, you got rejected, bro, because you messaged her at 3 a.m. in the morning and tried to call her at 5 a.m. because you were missing her. Dude, don't do that.
No, there's a few things that are, with a pinch of salt, that one. But that's amazing that I didn't realize that it was at that point. Do you think, what would you say to your 14-year-old self?
What do I say? I would say to him, hey, appreciate your parents, listen to them more. You don't know everything. And here's a slap across the face to remind you, that, hey, my Asian parents, like, you beat your kid when you don't do, parents these days, they don't want to smack their kids. I was like, that's okay. But when I have kids, they're going to learn.
Right. You think it's a
cultural thing, if anything.
Is that so?
Yeah. If you ask anyone, like even if you ask Kyle, did you get smacked when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there you go.
But
I copped it. Yeah, I mean, I copped it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we found. Oh, I'm not going to throw my mum. I love you, mum. No, it's like it was understandable, and it does because I don't know about you, but like at that age, the brain isn't developed maybe enough to comprehend certain things, and that I'm not talking about like going overboard, but I think that immediacy. I ain't advocating it, but I'm not saying but I'm just saying sometimes that immediacy like could be that bucket of cold water, I guess, as an adult that you sometimes get. It's just a little like, hey, things, I guess, bringing the consequence of something that as a kid I couldn't have, my brain just was not thinking probably 5 seconds in front of my face. So it's like, how do you bring that consequence into it?
That's true.
Into the immediate, it's tough. I'm not a parent, sorry.
No, neither am I. So what do we know?
What do we know?
Yeah. But was there ever a time where you thought as you were young that this could all be taken away? Like the fear of losing it?
Yeah,
Yeah?
Totally. I was constantly reminded that, hey, this is just this is like a lottery ticket you've won. This is something that isn't forever. It's just a extraordinary circumstance that's occurring, but don't be banking on the fact that this is going to continue. And in a way that gave me I could be more excited and present with it. I wasn't thinking very future-minded. In some regards, though, I'm like, in order to be more driven, like from my own, what's the word I'm looking for? Autonomy, it probably would have been good to be like, no, this is what I'm doing. These are the steps I'm going to take. This is how I break it down. And then being very self-driven in terms of those things. So it was, again, I feel like we're hitting a few paradoxes. There's a bit of, it goes both ways in terms of what could be beneficial.
Right. And so would you say that you have more pressure now as an adult or more pressure when you were a teenager then?
I didn't feel like I had pressure. Maybe that's why I was actually working, because I didn't perceive the pressure. And it was there, but I guess maybe that leniency. But it's actually become maybe more challenging as an adult, because I think that I'm now very acutely aware of how much support I was receiving from people around me. Like, and on a film set, you've got the wardrobe, you've got the director, you've got your other cast mates who were awesome, and you've got a script, you're learning a line, stay on the mark. There's a lot. You obviously have to do what you got to do when it's your time, but that's a hell of a lot of support. Whereas being fully self-driven and self-disciplined is a whole different degree. I'm realizing it's taken me a while to be like, oh, this is actually not only is it critical, but the greatest freedom occurs from stepping into that more and more. Yeah.
Well, on a film and TV set then, who do you think, from your perspective, from what and everything that you've done, who is the most undervalued person on the set?
Whoa, what a good question. The immediate thing that jumps into my head, so I'll just unpack that real quick. I think the first directors are extraordinary. So they're considered the assistant director, effectively, but they are wheeling and dealing. Like, they are the ones that are like calling everything up in terms of right up until action and then after. So they're sort of holding the fort. And I think obviously the director's, the visionary and has so they deserve, rightfully get their props for that. The ADs, they look, it's because they're always looking the most stressed. They're always like...
AD's assistant director, right?
Assistant director, yeah. It's like, okay, we need to let's do another shot. And you can just see him like, yeah, great, yeah, let's go. You can just see their brain exploding. So I think ADs, but I also think all the way back to like the writers, obviously, there are, you often don't meet the writers until you may never meet the writer, but it's there. We're seeing the writers' strikes in the US at the moment. So a case in point, they are birthing, in a sense, that universe that everyone steps into. That's a pretty big deal.
The writer's strike is an interesting thing. A lot of people don't know about it, right? How, because that indirectly will affect future projects moving forward. There's a lot of things that's already in the pipeline, but that means 2 years from now, there's going to be this massive gap where there's going to be a lot of things that are not happening, right?
you nailed it.
So as an actor, then
Yeah.
how do you see these strikes that are going on?
I see them as there was an inevitability. I don't know that like
Yeah, of course.
complete ins and outs, to be fair. I know I saw Bryan Cranston make a speech from Breaking Bad, and you know, entire great host of other projects, and I could see the passion, man. I was like, whoa, okay, because the union there is so strong. We've got a good one here as well. The one in the US is just on they're so passionate, and I think I didn't really understand it until I saw him making that speech. I was like, oh, this is way more than what I actually understood. But in answer to your question, yeah, it's going to like anything, man. Do you remember Blockbuster Video?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, Civic Video, Video Easy, the whole lot.
Right. Okay. My man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same era, brother.
Yeah. It is. Oh,
Yeah.
I love this. So Blockbuster Video, to me, I'm sure when they were rocking it and it was at its zenith, right? People were like, if you owned a Blockbuster Video, you'd be like, this is a sure thing forever. And I suppose the writer's strikes, to me, it's one that one cliche of like the one constant is change, or the one constant is change. So I can understand why it's happening. I can understand that people are obviously rattled by it and wanting to promote that change. And I think with the right mindset, good things will ultimately come out of it. You know, I think there can be a win-win for everyone involved.
I hope it finishes, because I hope they come to an agreement, because I really want to see movies back on. I want to see good stuff as well.
Of course.
Yeah. Hey, there are a lot of, going back to your career, right? There are a lot of child celebrities like Miley and Selena, and you think about like Lindsay Lohan. Mm-hmm. A lot of them disassociated themselves from a lot of the works that they used to do. Do you think that there is a chance for an H2O Season 4 reboot?
Hell yeah. I hope so.
Let's make it happen.
I reckon we should make it happen.
Well, it's trending right now because I think they put it back onto, I think, Netflix and everything like that. So,
well, I think streaming has given that show, like, it arguably is as popular now as I think it has been. Like, no one expected, because streaming wasn't even a thing when we shot it. Not to age the show or myself, but streaming wasn't a thing, and the fact that it's gotten these new leases on life is you know, player and stuff. Don't think I don't hear that stuff. I hear the catchphrase that people make, and word gets player. No, everyone thinks I did that. I think I may have said it at one point, but I love it. I love the fact that it's been embraced by a whole new generation. You know, that's really epic, and yeah, there was such a.
Yeah, it's like when songs make a return, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes, like Running Up the Hill, the Kate Bush song in Stranger Things, I think was a great example. That ended up on the top of the charts again.
Yeah.
You know?
Guardians did a good job with their soundtrack as well.
Did you see the third one?
Oh, hell yeah.
How was it?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I hadn't seen it. Gunn was back.
They should have sent you to the premiere, man. Damn straight.
Let's get a time machine, set things right.
That's right. Exactly. Well, I think that one of the things about like disassociating yourselves with like the previous work that you've done, I seem to find that when you didn't really like do a 180-degree flip and go, I'm out of this zone, you know, I'm going to completely ditch this and I'm going to go do something else.
No, I'm doing that now.
We'll get there.
All right.
We'll get there. Yeah, but why do you think celebrities like that would want to actually make such a big shift or such a big change from your perspective?
Another good question. Let me pause on that for a sec. I think because it is those years, as you know, are so developmental in terms of your identity, in terms of how you react to the world and how you are perceived by the world. I think those are such formative years that if I can't speak on any of their behalf, but this is probably something I maybe understand a little bit more in retrospect. That's a new word. Retrospect.
Yeah. Yeah. No regrets.
Oh, touche. That's too good. No regrets.
No regrets. Or in retrospect. We're gonna get that on the next shirt. We're gonna get that on a business bubble shirt.
Oh, that hit me funny, man. That's good.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, please. I'll ambassador that. I think that it's so formative, those years, that when it's awesome. Like, those shows are great, and I'd never take it back. I can only speak on my own behalf. I would just say that you get on the roller coaster,
right,
and then after the fact, you've come off it, and you're like, whoa, that was wild. It had thrills and spills and twists and turns, and in that, you've been playing a character to more or less degrees. I was probably still, and I can understand that maybe this was the case for other actors, although I couldn't say for sure. But you want to grab that autonomy as you get, did you have it when you were sort of turning 18 that you wanted to, it's a natural thing, I think, just from a developmental point of view, that you want to, let's stretch your wings and take ownership. Every human, yeah.
Yeah, every human wants to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you experience that personally as well?
I think so.
Yeah. You are a human, so I guess that's...
I try to be sometimes.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm failing miserably.
We're working on it, just day by day.
Day by day.
There's a lot of young girls, a lot of fans saw you as a heartthrob when they were growing up. Who was your biggest celebrity crush?
I remember having a pretty big crush on the Olsen twins when I was growing up.
Yes.
Is that a random one to say?
No, that's fair enough. We all watched Nick Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been from that. I remember the Olsen twins. I haven't thought about that for a long time, but as growing up, I think the Olsen twins was kind of a big one.
That's cool. Does Anna know about this?
Oh no, and
crap.
I'm sorry. That's cut this. At the time, no, I never actually, when Anna and I were together, and I don't think I never offered that up.
Right.
I don't think I offered up. No, I'm not ashamed of it.
No, that's all right.
I don't think I've actually been asked that question before, Nathan. You've got some good questions. Who was yours?
Who was mine? When I was younger, it was I had a big fan. I loved Pirates of the Caribbean. So Keira Knightley, seeing it, I was like, wow, who's this girl?
She was awesome in that.
Yeah. And then I became a massive fan of Selena Gomez.
Yep.
And now my crush forever is my wife. So, gotcha, baby. Baby.
What's your partner's name?
Yana.
Magic. You couldn't go. I mean, that's the best answer.
Well, I think marriage is just such a beautiful construct in itself.
Yeah, I do as well.
Because you're basically saying no to everything and saying yes to the one thing. Like Russell Peters said, he says, you can settle for many gina or one gina.
Whoa.
Russell Peters said that, so you can't cancel me. Everyone who's listening.
Did he get that on his shirt?
Maybe I should get one and send it to him and say, Russ, come do an episode with Angus and I and just go hard.
This is going hard, dude. That is a controversial top.
It is a very controversial.
I think I like what you said there about that actually when you say no to things, it doesn't. I've always had this fear of FOMO around like jobs or careers or whatever it might be about. Like if I say no, I'm missing out on these potentialities. And now I realize it's really empowering when you actually do define yourself for something. And you say that in a relationship or a marriage, like that definition, I think actually is more freedom giving than it is what I used to perceive was like, oh, I'm limiting myself or I'm cutting a piece of me off or something. I guess in a sense it is, but it's evolution, I think, in many scenarios. That's a really
interesting idea as well. And then you also mentioned about, what was that first thing you said? That was so good. I almost had a question off that and I was going to go into it, but it's crossed my mind and I'll come back through to it.
Yes, it's not. I do have a bit of the old ADHD, I'll jump around on, I'll monologue, man.
I haven't gotten tested, but I reckon I got it too. I'll tell you what, man. I'm all for it. It's like a superpower, you know?
It can be. It can also be a living night terror.
Really?
I think so. Maybe not for everyone.
No, okay,
that's
well,
a bit over dramatic, but I think it can. I only got diagnosed last year, so I suppose that's it was a bit of a shock, but not really as well. It was just like, and it is a very common thing where maybe too much potentially at the moment.
Was there a light switch moment that you go, oh, that makes sense now after you got diagnosed?
Yeah, there were a lot of things that I thought were just like very unique to myself, and then learning and listening to other people. And I'd be curious. Yeah, you said you haven't been diagnosed.
No,
I don't think it's necessary. Wow.
Yeah, no,
this is far from me, but I think there's merit in both. I understand people that do, and I understand people that don't. Because it's why do you think you might?
I don't know. I always see that things like this can actually help or hinder you. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I used to work for a consulting company called Gallup, and they used to do this thing called a strengths finder. Have you heard of that before?
No.
So and quickly, like there's 34 strengths so the Strengths Finder started when this guy called Don Clifton, after the war, he realized that there were a lot of people coming back from the war, and they were and they were struggling to fit themselves back into society. They called himself the father of psychology, right? And so what he decided to do was create this list of strengths that were divided into different segments. And from there, instead of finding out what was wrong with people, we tried to find out what was right with people. Yeah, I'm still giving money to Gallup right now. So, and then so through that, there's this strengths test that you can do. And it's so common for us normal humans to go, well, what are our weaknesses? Let's build on those weaknesses. But then if you think about a sports star, right? If you think, he's an athlete, he's really good at tennis, well, let's work on his weakness, which is basketball. That doesn't make sense from that perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
To focus on that at the exclusion of...
To turn himself into a superhero of his sport or whatever he's doing through his strengths. So I did the strengths test when I worked with Gallup.
How was it?
So my first one is futuristic, right? So
that's a good one.
Well, it's kind of cool when you think about it, but what it does is that it means that I could have, like, people can consider, Nathan's always got his head in the clouds. He's always thinking about the next thing. But then at the same time, there could be a good side to that, saying, hey, you know what? It means that you are a visionary or you think forward.
Right.
It's kind of like both sides, right? So ADHD, same goes. You can see it as a superpower or you can see it as a limitation. It's up to us, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And this is when you did that fist bump. I was like, this guy's owned it.
Oh, I appreciate that. I think I am now, like, more so, because it probably, to be fair, is like you said, it can be that superpower. It was probably the thing that got me into acting initially in the first place, to be honest. Not the thing, but it was certainly, I just had a lot of energy and thought in ways that, I was always maybe considered a bit of an odd dude, and I embraced that. And it's not a surprise. I ended up playing odd ball characters, and ones that were a bit left or out of the societal norm. So I think this, is probably coming back to that and having some acceptance of, and not, you said that about identity and about wanting to, like, change it up. Yeah, in some ways it's, I can understand wanting to get away from that, but I'm probably, as I get older now, I'm 34. I ain't no spring chicken. I am starting to embrace it, but in a new way with more knowledge and more life experience. And it sounds like you've had a similar experience. Yeah,
I think especially after marriage. Like after marriage, I actually got closer to my parents as well, because you start to like, when you hit your 30, when you're in the teens, right, you think the world is your oyster. And then when you're in 20s, you're like, I can do anything. Like, screw you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then when you hit 30, you go, actually.
There are some requirements around here in order for me to succeed.
Or even just make it through my 30s.
I do.
Yeah.
Very much.
And so I think after marriage, I got married at 26. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. 27, sorry.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Well, in a Christian community, like if you're 27 and you just got married, you're a grandpa. You should have 3 kids by now.
Okay.
I remember. I'll tell you this was a funny one. I
Yeah.
went to a church in Tokyo, and it was a sister church of one of our churches. And I met this guy, and he was really cool. He was from America. He met his Japanese girlfriend and then fiance, and got married within 6-7 months. And I said to him, I said, "Hey, you got married in 6 months. Why? How'd you so quick?" And he goes, "Chastity's a bitch." I was like, "All right."
He's got his priorities
He had his priority set.
well set.
Exactly.
I had a good friend who got married very, very young, like 20. I think he was 20. His partner was 19 at the time. I was like,
That's young.
young, but still together,
How good is that?
kicking goals.
Yeah.
Like I really respect that level of again, that definition, like not this, I think that's inspiring. It doesn't always work out that way, obviously, but I think those values really can provide a great platform for a wonderful life.
Well, you become laser focused.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm not chasing now. I've got the one, and I'm just gonna go hard with it. Like figurative. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, there's so many movies and stuff like that these days. They're banking on nostalgia. What do you think that the movie industry's kind of messed up now? Because all the movies that are doing really well are all off prior properties. And it's really struggling with original films. I mean, let's say Oppenheimer did really well, right? But that's like one. Like you think about, and then the ones that they are banking on nostalgia, that hit and miss. Like think of Indiana Jones.
I didn't see that. Did you see that?
Yeah, I'm a movie junkie. I'm one of those guys. I don't watch trailers. So
Oh, you are.
yeah,
You're the real McCoy.
thank you,
That's cool.
thank you. I salute you people. People in your field. For actually making the movies.
I
Yeah,
salute you back. For again, it's a collaborative. There ain't no actors if there ain't no audience.
That's true.
There's insane actors just by themselves, just monologuing to themselves. That's where that goes. I mean, we all do it, don't we? At some point in our,
I think there's ADHD there, right?
Just me. Is it?
Yeah, but no, like on the nostalgia factor, Hollywood is now banking on so many nostalgic movies.
Yeah.
Like, what are we running to a dead end now? Where we have to? Are we going to miss out on all these amazing original stories because companies are just going to stop producing them because they realize that, hey, this is too much of a gamble. I'm just going to stick with previous stuff that's worked.
Fascinating. You're right. It certainly is. We're in a phase of it. I do think with anything, like with music, with trends, with fashion, any of these things, they do swing to an extreme at some point. Inevitably, I feel like the natural balance will swing it back the other way, where people go like, actually, it's like eating too much of one food. Ain't for me, man. I'll eat the same food every day for every meal. Right, thought you want. That's great.
Yeah.
Can I ask what it is?
There's a restaurant, and I had one of my friends who's Sydney food boy on this show the other day, and I said to Kev, I said, one of the restaurants that I really miss and I really want it back is one in Chinatown. It was a Hong Kong diner. It's like comfort food for me. Great. I could eat that stuff every single day. I had a tab there when I worked at the bank. I would come up.
You were the...
I was like that. Like I would come up and they'll go shout out in Chinese, "Oh, he's here." I said,
he's
here.
arrived.
No, they're more like, he's here.
What was the meal?
It was just like a rice dish. We can go get that later on.
I'd be
down for it?
Yep.
Comfort food?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Who doesn't like a bit of comfort food?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like a rice dish and it's got like maybe like a corn gravy on top of it.
Delicious.
With like meat and stuff like that. And
would they possibly consider a vegan version?
Yes, they might.
They might. That's cool.
Bowl of white rice.
That's me. That's me. That's that comfort food. Sauce. That's my jam.
That's your jam.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
Actually, I probably would smash that. That's probably something I would eat. No, that's... No.
Why have you chosen to go vegan?
Why have I chosen? Wow. It's actually been a very multi-leveled process. Can I just circle back quickly? I just want to answer that thing on nostalgia very quick.
Yeah.
I think yes. I see. I don't want to. If we did another, if H2O was ever to get a
Right.
it would. You want to obviously maintain or help elevate the legacy of whatever it is. There is always the danger that those things can go either way. I guess people always just can go back to the original, so there's probably no great harm. But there have been a few. I remember Predator. That was great. Prey. That's sick.
Yeah.
So, but I get what you mean. You want to see great original stories ultimately, because we just want to see new creation. So I understand that. But in terms of veganism, oh man, it ain't no secret. I grew up on a farm, and I'm so proud of that heritage as well, because it's been that way for a long time, and it's, my family have been unbelievable custodians of that particular property. And just as I've been, we were talking before about going on my own, like, out of the box journey, I genuinely have just had some experiences. To be honest, they maybe even a kind of personal in some ways. So I just have, and also, let's just shoot this completely straight. I've eaten more meat and animal products than I probably ate my lifetime's worth growing up and into my, up until not that long ago. So I just probably, with my tendency to go hardcore into things, I probably just did that to a degree where I got to see something, a side of it where I was like, yeah, it just didn't resonate anymore. And I did have some experiences where I was like, oh, I feel that. There's something that's just guiding me to just question that. And I have to ultimately listen to that, because it's never really let me, it's never led me astray. It's never failed to ultimately be in the highest wisdom, that really quiet, way back there voice. The loud one, I always follow it, and it ends up getting me in all sorts of crazy scenarios that, it's that quiet voice that I'm trying to tune into. That's why I mentioned about getting quiet more often, because I can hear that quieter voice. So that's just a process I'm personally up to at the moment. Yeah.
Well, that goes into almost like your psychology, right? What does that quiet voice of Angus sound like?
It's calm, for one.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't consider myself a particularly calm person I can be, but I think I've been pretty high energy, that high, somewhat anxious individual for, not all the time, but it's just that energy. I think I haven't really known what to do with it. And haven't, it's just felt like, I don't know, Cyclops in X-Men, he's got before he gets he's just like smashing everything and blowing everything up. I've sort of felt a bit like that at times. And so just learning to focus, I can hear that quieter voice, and it feels like the part of me that has the greatest bird's eye perspective.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It's not short-sighted. It's playing 5D chess.
Was that a pitch so you can play Cyclops in the Disney X-Men? That wasn't it?
Oh, that was a good one. That whole thing.
That was a good one.
I don't have ADHD. I don't have any of this. I just wanted to get that pitch in there.
Yeah, he's supposed to play Cyclops. I could see you play Cyclops.
Well, that's very kind. I'm a big fan. That was one of my favorite characters growing up. So, I did hear that they're bringing the X-Men back.
They are.
What do you know about it?
I only know as much as you would know. You probably have more sources than I do. Well, Disney bought 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox originally owned X-Men. So I know that the Marvel, if you think about the Marvel universe, so you have you got the Infinity Saga, which is finished. Then you got the Multiverse Saga, which is on right now. And then that will finish off with Secret Wars, Kane Dynasty. And then the next one after that would break into, I think, the new X-Men universe.
Amazing.
Yeah. So there's time.
No, there's time. There's time. I'd love to watch it as a fan. But look, it'd be pretty sick to be involved in any of that on any capacity. Because X-Men, see, there's probably a bit of a tie-in. Like, I think X-Men I loved that it was that they were the outcasts, but they had these powers that they just needed the right training and the right, they needed each other.
Yeah,
which I think's so great. Like what is it about the dream? Oh man, it'll come back. Someone said to me, "Oh, I wish I could remember." It'll have to come back. But effectively, like, even if you're very unique and have, you can feel very isolated in a sense for differences. I love when those crew get together and create something. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's powerful.
If you were to play Cyclops, how would you approach that role preparing for it?
Well, it depends on who the director would be, because obviously we saw with like Batman in recent times, that was a very different take. Like I think Ben Affleck before that was like, just from a physical point of view, was like,
wow, he went hard.
He went hard.
Yeah.
Crazy. And whereas Robert Pattinson took it down a completely different angle, where it was this real lean and gritty, and I think that would depend. The director's vision would ultimately influence that. That's what's so cool about having a director's vision. I'm pretty sure Christopher Nolan. I love. It sounds like you like watching behind the scenes sort of stuff as well. What do you like out of that stuff?
What do I like? When I was a kid, I liked watching the Pirates of the Caribbean behind the scenes, because I'd get to see Keira Knightley off camera. That was probably it.
Are you allowed to say that? I thought you said you've.
I don't know, man. I don't know. If Keira Knightley watches this, please, shoot me a message. Let me know. Big fan.
Anything's possible with these things.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. I think even like I heard through that. This was a pretty crazy one, but I think Billie Eilish gave like a shout out at some point at a concert to H2O.
Get out!
I'm pretty sure when she was out on a tour, and Phineas and her, I think, make extraordinary music.
Yeah,
and I thought that was a bit of a crazy. Let me just pick that name up. I just
Billie Eilish. That. Yeah.
I just put that back in my pocket.
Nice.
I just thought that was that is a bizarre that's a. So my point is that. Crazy things do occur. So Keira Knightley, just watch that space.
Well, Angus McLaren feat Billie Eilish.
Wait, was that again?
Angus McLaren featuring Billie
Eilish.
You like FEAT.
Yeah. I got a bit of work to do, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Well, you got a lot of friends that are in Hollywood, like Natasha Lubodizzo, and also Phoebe Tompkins. Out of those two guys that you've worked with, who's the messiest?
Oh, the messiest?
Yeah.
I actually genuinely think they're pretty well organized, and it doesn't surprise me that they've been both as successful as they have, both Phoebe and Natasha, because they've got it together, both of them. So. Messy. I feel like maybe. Well, I knew Phoebe because we were much younger, obviously, and that's just maybe more of a kid thing. But I think I don't remember him being messy. But Phoebe was certainly there was similarities with Cleo, her character, which I think is so awesome, and we all had so many similarities to our characters. Really, we were probably cast because we were. Quite close to our characters in some ways.
I was going to say, depending on your answer, it depends on who's going to be forking out the bill next at the next dinner. Yeah. Next catch up. Phoebe or Natasha go, I heard what you said, Angus. I heard what you said.
Yeah. You're dead to me. No. I heard what you said. We're dead.
That's true. Phoebe coming with the teeth, Oh,
yeah, she did.
Yeah. Natasha coming with a dark saber or something like that.
I love that those A, that that sort of stuff, and then B, that that Phoebe, that actors. Curious to get your opinion on this.
Sure.
They would call it typecasting, I suppose.
Typecasting
in the sense that doing or being involved in series, for Phoebe it was supernatural series, playing a mermaid, playing a vampire. These do you know what I mean? And then Natasha having those extraordinary, because she's such an amazing martial artist, being able to do I think she did the Crouching Tiger remake, and then obviously doing Star Wars now. You say, like, is that typecast in terms of their skill set? But it's their skill, like part of their skill set. I like that. I like that actors get a bit of a. It's like an artist or a musician who plays in a certain genre. You do sort of end up playing. You're not going to jump genres all the time. Those are both Phoebe and Natasha, though, super versatile actors. But I think you do sort of need to find a little bit of an ecosystem that you exist in, that people start to think of you when they think of that role or that sort of thing. And it's worked out superbly for both of them.
Well, it also goes the other way as well, because like when we talked about Miley and they completely wanted to ditch that. They don't want to be that girl next door. They don't want to be. They just want to do their own thing, right?
Just want to be a wrecking ball.
Damn straight.
After a while.
Wow, that's good. Very clean. I like that one. Why does Hollywood love Aussies so much?
Do they?
Do they?
Do they? I think they do. Not all of them. I mean, we've all, probably a case-by-case thing.
Yeah.
I think we're very fortunate that Australians, on average, have a very, maybe it's because growing up, it certainly was for me, the US was seen as something to aspire to.
Like a platform, right?
Yeah, a platform, and was a lot of my heroes were people that I grew up watching on the screen and shows and stuff. So I think there was always there's probably a sense that we're a guest at least going over there. So I think, and we're pumped to be there. I think there's an enthusiasm there, which is, and Australians have got that reputation of being like quite down to earth, I suppose. So probably that, their passion, enthusiasm, and the fact that on average can be quite grounded.
Speaking of Aussies, right? You were recently back on Back to the Rafters, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Originally it was on TV. I think it was Channel 7 before,
yes.
right? And then it went on to Prime.
Yeah.
Right? What was the difference working with Channel 7 first and then moving into a streaming service? Were there any restrictions? Were there any budget things? Were there any things on set that you realized that had changed because the big bosses have different ways of, orchestrating things now?
Yeah, that's a very observant question, because no one's asked me that. I think there were differences that.
Just curious, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think Amazon is just like so mega. Like when we did the first Rafters, Channel 7 felt like it was pretty mega though as well, because that was back in the day. Like no streaming networks there's only a handful of them in Australia. There's like Channel 10, 9, 7 were the big hitters. So it felt as big a scale when we did those first rounds of Rafters. But then this streaming monolith that's really come out of, like, it's just so massive. That Amazon one felt different. It felt like this has gone up to another gear, just in terms of production value, and you could just feel that it was a bigger scale. It felt more like a film. It felt like shooting a film. It felt more like doing like a Hotel Mumbai or something like that, where the scope was just much bigger. Which can be positive, can have benefits. There was something intimate about that first, very earthy and family. Yeah, and also we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah, that's true. There's do you think that the Australian shows or the Australian media, like your Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, has that taken a massive hit because of streaming?
For sure.
And what do you reckon will change moving forward with it in order to bring audiences back?
Well, that's a fine question. I haven't seen do you watch network television? Will you?
I recently restarted watching Thank God You're Here.
Oh, great. Awesome show. Yeah. That's a great show.
And then a good friend of mine who's going to be on this podcast is on The Next Bachelor.
Oh, I think it just evolved. Is that so?
Yeah. So he's a church friend of ours.
No way.
Yeah. So I called him up and I said, hey, can I get you on the show as soon as it airs? I was like, you're the first one right here. And he goes, all right.
You've got the scoop.
I don't know, man. We'll see.
That is amazing. That would be quite an experience. I'd be curious to hear what he says.
Yeah.
I'm really glad. I think they have to evolve. Again, it's that opportunity to, like, you either adapt or perish. So network television, by the sounds of it, is making efforts to adapt, because no one expected streaming to do what it's done. It's like Uber and taxis, you know what I mean? It's just like, whoa. I can imagine as a taxi driver, you'd just be like, whoa, didn't see that coming.
Because if you look at the streaming numbers, or if you look at the numbers of network TV shows, number one is always like The Voice and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so reality, and then you got Bachelor, you got those Love Island shows kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and then as it goes down, then you start to see these, these original content stuff. And like your
so
traditional,
it's far down.
Yeah. So
okay.
in my head, I'm going like, I want my kids to grow up watching Home and Away as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, you like Home and Away? Did you grow up watching a bit of
Oh,
that?
absolutely. I was like the Isabel Lucas era, the Chris Hemsworth one when he was
Yeah, that was a golden era of that show.
Yes.
In my opinion, they've still had some awesome ones since then.
Yeah.
But that was a particularly. There were some great actors on at that time.
Like I had a teacher at school, and he loved Alf. And so he used to
doesn't
see
love Alf?
kids running around in the hallway, and he used to shout, "Hey, what the flaming hell are you doing here?"
Oh, he got it.
Yeah, he got it. He nailed it as well. Like,
Yeah.
oh crap.
Yeah, no one likes being. If Alf was disappointed in you, life was pretty much over.
Yeah, who was your favorite actor on the set there?
I loved Jake Ryan, who he was just so. Yeah, he's just such a great dude and a great actor as well. So working with him, I was really lucky to work with him. That was another era, I think, which was there was some great actors. I was very fortunate to have that little slice of Home and Away because I grew up watching a lot of it as well. So that was bizarre, but pretty cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
when you watch something from afar and then you are part of it, what does that do to you? How do you feel stepping onto it? Because I've seen a lot of people that like in the sports world, right?
Yeah.
Like these young athletes now, they grow up and they go, oh man, like LeBron James was my hero, was my idol, or I grew up watching Nikola Djokovic, play tennis, and now I get to play against him, right? So
that notion of like playing with someone I had, a friend of mine, Solomon, amazing musician. He just said that 2 days ago in the car. He's the dude who he grew up being trained by, and admiring. He's now playing with, being
cool.
asked by him, hey, come and jump on stage
so
and
cool.
play. That is like the apprentice, master getting to do something. I think it was bizarre, dude. It was very dream-esque, to be honest. Like, I mean that in literal, not like just like, oh, it's a dream come true, but I mean very trippy in a dream sense, like kind of bizarre in a, like, is this actually happening? Am I dreaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
that is, I can't imagine. Like you're stepping into, like, I love sport, right? Imagine stepping onto the same court as your hero, as those guys. Like, oh, really? That set actually looked quite small. It looks big on TV.
Yeah, that's the danger. Sometimes it can actually like,
it just destroys
it's
it all.
just like, it's like pulling the curtain.
Yeah.
But no, because in some ways it makes it more special because you're like, oh, this is actually just this is people, like people creating something that takes on this greater than the sum of its parts in a sense. So it actually makes it more miraculous when you see how often these things they're people doing a job that they're passionate about. It's just there's not many jobs, I suppose, that get beamed to millions of people like the milkman or delivering. That's definitely not the analogy I wanted to say because I'm a vegan now, and B, because it doesn't make sense because there's not really a milkman delivering milk anymore, is there?
It's the guy in the Woolies truck,
Yeah.
Give me my Disney cards.
That's
you seen that?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all sold out everywhere. They're crazy.
I don't know what these cards are.
Oh, so Disney has these little cards to celebrate the 100th anniversary. And so for every $30 you spend at Woolies, I should get a plug for this.
You should.
Yeah, I'm not going to say any more because I don't know. I had this thing that I said last time about Domino's, and then I was like, should I post it?
And
no,
did
you know
you?
what? I should contact them first. They haven't replied me, so I haven't posted yet. Oh, good. It was good. It was a good thing about
Your
it.
people should speak to their people.
That's right. Carl, we need to
Kyle.
speak to them. Yeah,
Got that?
100%. And Pizza Hut too, while we're at it.
If anyone can do it,
That's
it's
right.
Kyle.
Hey, you said in an interview that after, like, during COVID, that developed some bad habits about watching movies with your phone on you. Why, in your opinion, why should people put their phones down and watch the damn film as it is without the distractions?
Yeah, this is a very, very good question because I realized I was doing a bit of housekeeping recently, upstairs housekeeping. I was like, oh, dude, phone addiction, that is severe for at least, or has the capacity to be severe for myself and probably for quite a number of people as well. And I think that hyperstimulation of just like that ability or that need, man, to, and I've seen this on my phone as well, are like people watching a reaction of like 4 or 5 screens, man, like little one iPad thing, this.
Far out.
And it's just dopamine
Oh my
milk.
gosh.
It's like dopamine, like just siphoning it. Anyway, I can only speak of my own experience. I just think the things that usually have great quality are where there's you said it, like there's a primary focus towards something, like a primary target, whereas just tabbing away and like looking at different screens, it's madness. It is for me. It sends me mad.
Well, as a muso, it's like someone listening to a song that someone's worked so hard on just the iPhone speakers.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think I misunderstood. Now I understand what you mean. Oh, you mean, I thought you meant going to the cinema and watching a movie.
Oh,
and
that
then
happens too.
Oh, really?
Oh man, I was going to jump into that.
Dude, that's
I was going to jump into that. But yeah, like people when they're watching streaming, right? Because, I mean, a lot of people, even of us, you know, like my family members who watched your movie Hotel Mumbai, like we didn't see it in the cinemas, but we saw it. A lot of us saw it on streaming when it came out a little bit after.
Now I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, like people, like, I think there's a part of honoring the craft, and if you're going to spend the time watching that, you know, like you put a lot of effort into it.
I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that.
Blood as well? Did you?
It's fake blood, but I mean, no, probably that was a full on production. Not, I mean, I had a tiny part ultimately in it, but I think getting to see people go, that's what it is. I think there ain't no phones on set for that sort of stuff. Like, I think Christopher Nolan actually talks about it. He gets everyone to hand their phone in, all the crew and everything. Oh, and Tarantino, I think that unbroken focus when you really pay attention to something, that to me is where as close to, I'd say, like spirituality and magic are created, when there's that very generous focus given to something. That's when amazing things are created.
It's movie magic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even like my friends and everything, I tell them that, hey, I need to watch movies. Like I need to watch movies in the cinema every single week because that's my only outlet. I don't switch off otherwise. Right. So this is my magic getaway. Like, so when you talk about the reason why I'm so passionate about movies is because it's so dear and near to my heart. Like
I can see that.
Yeah. This is the only thing I do to switch off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when like there was a kid in front of me when I was watching The Little Mermaid on her phone, and I'm going, oh no, don't, just turn the damn thing off. And it was on full brightness as well. I thought, oh no, don't do it.
Hey.
I asked her nicely.
Oh, you actually, yeah, fair
I
enough.
had to get the people inside and say, hey, you know what, please get her to turn the phone off. She's just talking and.
Full bright.
Full bright. Like, that's fair. Okay,
it simply won't do.
If it's an emergency and you're messaging someone, you put it between your lap and you kind of go, all right, cool, fair enough.
Yes.
But not when you're here and, you know, some people behind you and all that stuff.
No. The movie can be, bear with me on this one, do you think it could potentially be considered a bit of a sacred experience if it's a high quality project? Have you had transcendent experiences watching films?
100%.
Beautiful.
You saw Endgame, right?
Yes,
Avengers Endgame,
I did.
right?
Yes.
That scene when all of the heroes come out, you know, in the portals scene, that is a transcendent experience. That's something that you can't replicate. And people watch reactions even till now about from the moment when people experienced it in the cinema. I want the rowdiness. I want the
So you go to the screenings.
The midnight screenings when everyone's like dressed up and like clapping and stuff like that when the logo comes on.
How is that? I don't think I've been to one of those for a long time.
Next one, we'll go together.
I'm
done.
You got a deal.
Done. Awesome.
That sounds great because I want to experience that because it's you don't get that watching your phone and it's none of that, man. It is that community and collaboration. The audience is a part of a project, so that's
One of my favorite movie podcasts, called John Campea. He's been doing it for a long, long time. He talks purely movies, TVs, streaming, all of that stuff. And he said the cinemas is almost like a sacred experience because everyone, no matter what background, no matter what history you come from, whether you just smashed your car, whether you just won $1 million, you're coming here, you spend the same amount of money and you all enjoy this piece of artwork that someone has put so much time and effort.
A lot of people.
A lot of people. Like, you know, even now at the bottom of the credits, you see like thousands or something people have contributed to making this film. Or this gave like 10,000 jobs or something like that.
Okay, that just triggered a question that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
If you went to a film and sat there and watched it, would it diminish it or maybe the opposite? Would it enhance it if you saw at the end just a couple of tiny names and and it just said, and the most of this was created by Skynet? What like you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's the whole writer's strike thing
That's
going on,
what I'm
right?
talking about.
Yeah.
Would it take away, instead of that huge list of names that you're like, whoa, that took an entire, you know, small little country to make that film.
Yeah.
Would it be less impressive if it was like rendered on? But I guess I'm curious to know what your opinion is on.
I think if it's a good story, it's a good story.
Yeah.
And even when George Lucas said that he was doing Star Wars, he based it off a hero's tale.
The hero's journey.
The hero's journey.
Joseph Campbell, man.
Exactly. And so the hero's journey, obviously 7 steps, you know, Luke, you know, he's a little country boy. Then he meets the mentor. And then from the mentor, he goes, you know, so this whole journey, right?
I love that you know that. That's so good.
So all of this stuff is like we love that journey, right? There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's a complication, right?
Character arc,
and we want to experience that. And so yes, AI will probably have its place as well. Will it diminish it? I think if the movie's great, then the movie's great. There had to be someone else overarching, looking at the whole thing. So my credit goes off to him.
What about if there's no one? What about if there's just no one behind it?
Well,
it's just punching out great film after great film. And you're like, who's driving it?
Well, I had a similar experience when I watched Steven Soderbergh's film. Steven Soderbergh, who did the Oceans movies. So he did a film that was all shot on iPhone. I heard about this. Yeah.
Was it good?
The story was really good. There were moments when I knew that it didn't have, it didn't have your aperture, and then you kind of missed a bit of the bokeh in the back when you have. You know, anamorphic lenses have that really nice.
Yes, I do. I've learned this recently from Kyle. Been getting an induction in good lenses.
Yeah. So it obviously shooting on iPhone didn't have that, and part of me kind of go, I miss that, right? But then at the same time, I still enjoyed the movie. So if it was all done on AI, you know what? If it still captures a little bit of that magic, I'm all for it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great attitude to have because it's like it's happening.
Yeah.
So let's just make the best of it. And certainly there's been animated films, but then I guess you do see the list of like how many animators worked on it. Have you used Midjourney?
No, not yet.
Yeah, it is astonishing. It's astonishing. I only used it to create like a few pieces of artwork, I suppose, but with keywords. But that I have enjoyed that, but I can see that, if you don't have to pay writers because this thing just knocks scripts out.
But if you look at in my industry, in the mortgage world, you can go online and you can apply for a home loan, right? And it can be done for you without any people involved, right? But then you miss the human element of it. And then I look back at that loan and I go, well, the machine messed it up. You know, it's asking you for this and this, and now you can't. And so in the end, when I think about it transcribed to this, like in terms of the movie world or in terms of the screen, I think, okay, yeah, you can get the computers to do it. But then at the same time, you got people like yourself, you know, or writers out there. I'm going, you guys are the professionals. I want to see you guys get paid for the work that you are doing. And you do a better job than what a computer can do.
Well, I appreciate that. That's, I guess, what's up for debate. People are like, is the juice worth the squeeze of paying these people when we can just get this thing to do it for, it's in the ballpark. But what would you say, what is the element of humans that the AI, in your opinion, could never replicate? What is the quality that AI could I'm open to that, whether you think it could ever, but is there an innately human or innately sentient component that AI will never be able to
struggle?
Struggle. There you go.
Struggle. Don't you think?
That was quite an answer.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's think of one of the movies that you've done, right? Naked Wanderer. Didn't they change the name? Like
Struggle.
Crazy About You. Didn't they change the name?
Yeah.
Actually, curious. Why did they change it? Marketing.
I guess marketing.
Yeah, fair enough.
A lot of things get actually changed with different regions.
Yeah,
which
that's true.
I don't know enough about that sort of stuff, but I think you've hit something really profound on the head that we don't actually always look for perfection. We're actually looking to see someone overcome struggle.
Drop the beat.
Trying to see that imperfection perfectly trying to succeed against struggle. And we love it when it's not a guarantee and it just comes through, you know what I mean? That's what we love. That's what I love to see. Like, they did it.
They did it.
And it was not a guarantee. And I'm not sure if you watch, if that struggle element wasn't there for sentience, if that's sentience, you're just like, well, it was kind of a foregone conclusion. Like, would you ever go and see live bands or live theatre for that reason? That you want to, it's being freshly minted in front of your eyes, and it's not guaranteed.
I just went to watch Wicked yesterday.
Oh, how was it?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a big Broadway guy as well, so I love that. So I love the whole theatre stuff, man. Give me anything entertainment.
You're a true fan of the arts.
I love the arts.
Well, you've been in them.
Well, there you go. I don't know. Maybe that contributed it somehow, that I've seen what it's like on the other end. Maybe only just a small bit, but that kind of made me grow my love for it.
Yes. Would you return?
I don't know. Shang-Chi Part 2.
You heard it here first.
That's right. Yeah. Let's go, Simu. I'll bring my boba on set. Yeah, I'll fight him with my boba tea.
Oh, this is, yeah. We found the secret weapon, so.
We did find the secret weapon.
That was, I'm not going to lie, not just as a marketing.
Yeah. You got the Infinity Stones, I got my Infinity Balls.
That's another
I've got to get that on a shirt, right?
My Infinity Balls is right up there with regret.
That's true. Yeah. The movie, like the movie credits, do you usually stay back to watch the whole credits?
Have done.
Yeah.
You have done. If it's a movie that really hit me, I remember Her by Spike Jonze with Joaquin Phoenix. I remember sitting to the end of that. That hit. Oof.
That AI is nuts, man. And
AI's
gotten there.
Yeah.
AI's gotten there. Have you seen where AI's gotten to these days? It actually makes people question about their relationships.
How do you mean?
So there was I heard this on another YouTube video or something like that, and they were talking about the development of AI in the world of dating, and they said that the guy was just trying it out, just seeing what it does, and he's married, and he thought, okay, I might just instigate this AI and see what it says, and obviously like Her. They're talking, as to a girl, and then he said, "Look, I'm happily married and all that stuff." And then that AI started asking questions about the relationship and making him question whether he's actually in the right relationship.
AI
was doing all these questions, and he goes, "Actually, had some really, really good questions in there that I actually thought, oh, double take." But
right,
that's nuts, right?
Yeah, that's nuts.
No wonder you sat at the end of the cinema going.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought the film was spectacular. I thought Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson as a voice, we just had this incredible chemistry. Oh yeah, but I guess there was a human behind that. That was Scarlett. Would you take a similar test? Have you done that? Being a married man? No, it's probably not. Hasn't prompted you.
I don't know where to go for that anyway.
ChatGPT.
I don't know, maybe.
GPT.
Yeah.
See, I've definitely used it.
Can you imagine my wife going on my browser history and going, what the heck?
Yeah, that would be a curly one to try and answer.
Not that she would, but it's just weird, right?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
I understand there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to learn about humans, about the curiosity of humans with this whole thing. So.
Yeah. Well, look, one of the things I'm a big proponent of is I I respect the work, right? I love the credits. I love at the end of a musical, the orchestra keeps playing, and I like to stay and listen to all the art, right, that's there. Yeah. So I'm always curious from your perspective in that field. If the cinemas were to continue to keep people engaged and make them stay to the end of the credits, aside from having movie stingers at the end, what else could they do for those credits to make people acknowledge and appreciate instead of, oh, movie's done, I'm out?
Right. The only way that I could think about it is to develop or help cultivate that passion that you have how would you convey, or how would you, if you were trying to inspire someone to, I think it could only come through care, that they would care. How would you inspire someone to care about that sort of stuff?
Well, this question came out because I watched Sound of Freedom the other day.
Oh.
Yeah, you heard of that one, right?
Oh, I've definitely heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your opinion.
So at the end of the movie, they had on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, it said special message in 2 minutes, and it had a countdown. And at the end of it, Jim Caviezel was on the screen, and he was talking the credits were still going, but he was talking about the people that you see on this list. You know, they everything that they had to overcome to get this movie released, and he was talking about the impact of this movie and what you can do if you wanted to fight child trafficking and all that stuff. And so I thought that was actually a very ingenious idea to appreciate the names, but at the same time still give the audience some kind of thing that they can take away with them and go, you know what, I appreciate, I like what he said, and I'm leaving on a different note.
Whoa. I love that there was a countdown, because their anticipation's really building that. Yeah, that's
just a special message as well. So you don't know what it is.
Who doesn't love a special message?
Everyone loves mystery, right? Like, ooh, what's this special?
I love a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are we all doing here?
Yeah. You know what's not a mystery? How terrible Snow White has been in development.
Oh, I missed the boat on this one.
You missed the boat.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has gotten a lot of people crazy and really frustrated, because Snow White, obviously Disney's doing a lot of live adaptations, and because of the, I guess, the inclusion box, they've replaced all of the dwarves with 7 magical creatures. So it's no longer called Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. It's like Snow White and the 7 magical creatures or something like that. That in itself is one thing. But because you're an Australian actor, you've done films with Indigenous people, you've done films with Asians, you've done films with you've been in India as well. How does Hollywood move forward by making sure they're not just ticking a diversity box and an inclusion box, but actually making sure that message of inclusion and that diversity is a real genuine thing instead of just, we did it?
Oh, is that how you see it, as coming from an element of it being like we're just hitting certain quotas and
trying to make people happy by just changing one thing?
Well, that's a really tricky one, because I haven't been on the side of, I haven't been behind those closed doors, I suppose, to know what sort of thing. But I guess it's not just happening it's happening across the board. And I understand, I love the inclusivity element of it, because I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Very important. It may tie back to encouraging those. I'm always up for a fresh interpretation of things. Like, I do like, Quentin Tarantino is one of my favorite directors of all time, and he talks about, like, he's sort of, in a sense, like a DJ of films. Like, he takes things that he, from older films, and he's obviously created this fusion of his own stuff, but it involves so much stuff. So I'm all about reinterpretations, because I think something new does emerge out of there. But on the same token, I think it also ties back to what you said about, like, creating fresh, brand new stories that have never existed before. And I think each culture has so much, has stories that no one else can tell as well, that are they're wonderfully the custodians of, and some of them been discovered and some of them haven't as well. I hope we never, that we always leave room for those things to come where that story can really only emerge from that amazing, unique perspective of humanity.
I think that's very reminiscent of what Taika Waititi said. He said this in a conference one time a few months ago. He said something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I don't want diversity by ticking a box and just having, you know, some Polynesian guy filling in this role, because that's not what I grew up and I saw. You know, that's
right.
Yeah, he says if I want to see Polynesian people, I want a true Polynesian film. Right, I want to see the history. That's for me. That's for him. That's diversity. That's having that kind of voice out there for them. So I thought that was.
I love that. I understand.
More stories, right?
Yeah,
more original stories.
That's what I'm saying. More original stories and more things that are completely have their fingerprints completely on them. Like this is our stamp of our perspective and our our way of viewing things, and the story that's emerging as well. Like it's coming. It's really being demanded to be told. I love when stories, and maybe just in general, I don't see that art usually reaches its full potential when it's a committee of like just hitting certain things. You know what I mean? I'm not sure, and not just in art, but in anything when there's like, it's starting to get a little cerebral at that point, is it potentially
meeting quotas and stuff like that. Yeah. Something really personal, or that dives into your preparation for acting.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about to make yourself cry?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've said that so many times. You've genuinely got really good questions. I don't think anyone's asked me that. I've never. I have to say it to the
You're
end.
done. Do you want to try this one? Oh, wait, you still got milk in there.
That's right. Thank you for the
No, you're right.
Oh, would you like? I've already drank it.
It's all good, man. We'll get another one.
I get hyper fixated on things, including that was really. I actually would. I'd love to go back and I'd love to buy a few. I'd like to try a few different flavors.
Yeah, he's got a ton. I'm sure he'll happily give it to you. He's a good man.
He's a good man. I liked him.
Yeah. He's got a nice smile.
Lovely.
You know, it makes
Very welcome. I do.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, I do.
And welcoming, right?
Super welcoming.
Yeah. That's what my dad told me when he had the restaurant. He was like, hey, I want you on the floor. You need to learn how to smile. You need to how to welcome people. Yeah.
I think it's a great. Dad's a wise man. What sort of restaurant was it?
It was just a modern Australian restaurant.
Sick.
Yeah, like steaks, burgers. He had some tapas, desserts. Yeah.
The full shebang.
It's like, I want to dominate this market.
Yeah. Yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way, so they say. In terms of the crying, I'll ask you first. What have you done? What do you think you would go to? What would be your technique?
That's a great question. To be honest, I've never forced myself to cry. I naturally just cry in every Disney movie.
There you go, man. Just build a little Rolex wheel in your head of all the Disney moments.
It just gets you, right? You talk about storytelling, right? So the journey of it, and then it gets to that final build up where everything, all the motion just builds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the triumph. It's the hero's journey culmination, I would say, that we, like you said about Endgame, that final. I remember seeing that, albeit not as a cinema, but I saw it on a little screen, but that had an impact as well. It's because you know that it's not just that moment. It's knowing all of the, as you said, struggle, like the overcoming of trial and triumph ultimately. Yeah. That's what we just like. That's the thing, right?
That's the thing.
So here's a little pearl that someone told me, which proved really effective. I did quite a lot of theatre at one point. I was doing a lot of Shakespeare and things like that, which required like a lot of emotional depth. Someone said to me, you can't bring Shakespeare down to your level. You've got to rise to meet Shakespeare, whoever that may have been, or groups, I'm not sure. There's a bit of controversy on that. But the writing is certainly full. Like it's heightened in some ways. Yeah. So there was we're doing a more like obscure Shakespeare play called Coriolanus, which actually got turned into a kick-ass film by Ralph Fiennes. It's well worth a check out, in my opinion. And Gerard Butler. It's good. It's a good film. He there was doing this every night. There was multiple times where I had to get to a point where it was like emotion overflow, like both in rage and in trauma and in despair, sorrow. Like there was some big moments in this play, and I'd had it 3 months really to prep for it. But I knew that these things had to be there. Like it couldn't phone any of that in. Like you're on stage, there's people. We were doing it in a roundhouse theatre, like a traditional Shakespearean theatre. So there's people right like where Kyle is from you. So they're looking at you. They know whether you're there or not emotionally. So I just felt a little bit of pressure to do it.
Yeah.
And in the past, that had flipped me out and I'd gotten psychological. Maybe because I didn't. That's part of the reason I went to get theatre training after having already done H2O and Packed to the Rafters and stuff. I then at 25 went to go and actually do training to be an actor, ironically, which is, I'm glad I did, because those were the sort of things where on sets you don't usually have a lot of time to drop into that. You're really catching a moving train often on set. So you've got to be so prepared that you can just hit it and drop into that moment. They're like, and I mean, Margot Robbie talks about it. She's like, oh, you want me to cry on this line? Okay, which eye would you like the single tear to drop
That's
from?
nuts.
Right? And she can on cue. So that's craft. Like she's not leaving that up to chance. And she's not, nor is she faking it per se. She would definitely, in my opinion, I'd be genuinely love to ask her this question. She's using great imagination technique and memory recall, and often memory, because imagine, like memory, we are still using our imagination. Even when we're thinking of a memory, our imagination power is reconstructing that experience in real time. It's extraordinary. Like that is the craziest technology. I mean, imagination to me is just the most mysterious, miraculous thing. So in terms of for crying, imagination is the thing that'll do it. And you can use, I mean, I had this book of, I'd made a collage out of a bunch of photos from like home, the farm, my family. Even though I'm playing a character, you can really blur those lines over. I found that I had a great mentor from the Actors Center in New York who came out and worked with her, and she really taught me this technique of how to emotionally drop into these places when you needed it. And I was very fortunate that she also told me, don't always go to the despair, because sometimes, I'd be spending weeks just ruminating on loved ones, unfortunate, they're sad things happening to them, and often that would get you there or get me there, and it'd be necessary. But it could also feel like a bit like there was something more. I just knew there was another way to do it, and this wonderful teacher, Elizabeth Kemp, said, find the love. Actually use your imagination to go to the love of these things. And it was that actually brought so much more rich emotion and a lot more in truthfulness and integrity. So that would be go to the love, actually using memory and imagination.
That's the late, great Heath Ledger, when he was preparing for The Dark Knight, he went to a place because he prepared in a hotel. He locked himself in the hotel, right? You read about stories, right? And he just immersed himself in that. And then obviously that took a toll on him as well after filming, right? In your preparation, what are your levels of immersion to get to a specific state or a character?
Do you mean to what depth?
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said that I wish that there were experiences that I ran myself into that I never thought I'd allow my imagination to go to such places, to be honest. But having said that, on the flip side, I've also allowed my imagination to go to beautiful, amazing scenarios that I wouldn't have perhaps experienced otherwise, other than in my ability to create imagination, experiences. So, but I would highly recommend, I don't think it's something to jump in flippantly, and I probably was a little naive that there was a decompression process, perhaps out the other side of doing performances like that, where I think, at least for myself, and I've spoken to other actors where this is the case, if you're going to go down into those, your body doesn't know the difference. The imagination's so powerful that your physiology, that's why, you can blush if you think of certain images. You can feel, even just what we were talking about before, I could start to feel that. You're like, the physiology, the body and the mind starts to, it's as real because it's like Morpheus says in The Matrix, like these are just electrical impulses, in your brain, what makes it real. So if you're going to do that, there has to be some sort of conscious process of coming back out in a healthy way. And I think a lot of actors and a lot of creatives and just people who ruminate in their head are maybe not aware of the pitfalls of that, and that they can cause you can reach for other things externally to try and fill that, to try and numb that pain.
Damn. Is that where from that experience of immersion, and you're talking about your imagination going to places, is that where your passion for lucid dreaming really came in?
Very much. Oh, I didn't know we were going to go there.
We can go wherever you want, brother.
Yeah, very much so. Yes, indeedy. And that was Elizabeth Kemp, the same teacher who actually, I suppose in a sense, like initiated me into how to lucid dream. And I didn't know that was going to happen at the time, but whoa.
So explain. No, I've never experienced this, man.
Well, I would beg to differ, sir, because I think everyone has, but often because their memories, we're like an Etch-a-Sketch. We often don't remember our dreams, but we did have them. So I'm just curious, do you remember your dreams from time to time?
Every now and then. And
beautiful.
I believe that lucid dreaming is taking control of the dream and being able to walk in your dream and do things consciously, but on a subconscious level. Is that correct?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. There's certainly different degrees of lucidity. There can be an element that you're aware that you're in a dream. You like start to question it.
Yeah.
Like the question might arise now. You're like, hey, Nathan, how are you sure you're not dreaming now?
Yeah, I took the red pill.
Yeah. Well, and I would just do a reality check, pinch
yourself. That kind of thing.
If you do like a check where you do say that, I'm pretty confident I'm not dreaming, because in a dream you do that, it'll push right through, and you'd be like, oh, I'm in a dream, and now I'm conscious that I'm in a dream. And so once that lucidity kicks in, then you can have more autonomy in the dream, as opposed to just being in, which is often the case. We're just in a bit of we don't even know we're in a dream, because you often, you wake up from and you're like, oh damn, that was
real.
That was real. Like I was whoa. So I think this great. I actually went to Hawaii. This is a passion of mine. This is probably a special interest area of mine. So I'm gonna just rein it in right now. But
it's all you, bro. It's all you.
I had a great opportunity. I went to Hawaii and studied with a gentleman called Dr. Stephen LaBerge, who's from Stanford University. And he actually he's a full-blown doctor, but his specialty is lucid dreaming. And he went and trained with the Tibet, the dream lamas up in the Himalayas. Like it sounds like a Batman thing, but he went there and trained with these total masters of lucid dreaming and so forth. And he came back and did this research, and very extraordinary research, where they could tell that he was dreaming. They could get him doing Morse code with his eyes, because when we're looking around the dream, our eyes and our physical are moving in the same direction. So they're like, when you're lucid, we'll put these little sensors on so you can Morse code us and tell us that you're awake in the dream.
What?
No kidding, man. It gets wilder. But he ended up being the consultant on Inception, Christopher Nolan's Inception, because Christopher Nolan's a bit of a lucid dreamer, and so is his brother, from what I gather.
Yes.
And so Dr. LaBerge was who they based a lot of that research, because you got to bet it, man. Military got real interested in that.
Yes. That's so. How do I start lucid dreaming tonight?
Well, the fact that we're talking about it increases your whatever we load our subconscious with tends to mirror in dreams. So if you're you mentioned when you're working in a bank, did you say? So you probably had dreams often when you were in a bank. Like
Sure.
we load it's like priming the subconscious. So the fact that we're talking about this means that your subconscious and my subconscious and Kyle's subconscious and all the people watching is getting primed with the notion of like, am I dreaming? Like, how am I sure about that? And if you can get that question to occur here in the physical, so to speak, the chances of it mirroring in the dream, so that you'll be in a dream, and because you've embedded the idea, am I dreaming? You may have that thought occur and you go, am I dreaming? Nah, I'm pretty sure I'm. And then as soon as that happens, man, it's like things come into like full HD, and now you're in the dream.
I can't wait to try this. I've had that experience before. Like I've not woken up, I've dreamt of prepping for a podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. Like writing out the run sheet. And I woke up that morning and I said to my wife, I said, I did a really bad run sheet last night. And she goes, what? I said, no, it was my dream. I was like, damn. So
What did Yanni say?
Yana said, oh, she's just like, you're weird. I said, yeah, I'll take it.
Yana knows best, huh?
She does. She know that is her favorite song out of a lot of the Disney movies. Like we're Disney junkies, right? So I don't know if you saw Walt there. He's my cup.
I did. I thought it was the Joker from behind. Unfortunately, right. I said it was. Oh, it's Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Sorry, Walt.
Sorry, Walt. R.I.P.
Polar opposite.
We'll bring you out of the ice soon.
Yeah. Please.
Hey, there's something I want to just go right back into.
Yeah.
And that was talking about the immersion piece, right? When you did the movie Naked Wanderer, Crazy About You, you were half naked the whole movie, right?
I'm so sorry to every eyeball.
That's a lot of immersion, brother.
It was a huge immersion. Yeah.
But was there ever a moment of like you got in your head and you thought like body dysmorphia, self-consciousness? Did that ever hit you as an actor going, hey, I'm doing all this to prep and this is like, I'm just getting in my head right now because I'm kind of in my birthday suit.
I was in a loincloth, but you betcha that's pretty much your birthday suit. It was riding, if you know what I mean. It was riding high. Look, I was fortunate in the sense that I had done projects before that had required a body transformation. Maybe not to that degree, in different ways. I'd had to build physiques up and also there was a role where I had to get very, very skinny while I was studying theatre. And so I learned a lot from that. But this was different because I knew that it was going to get seen. It wasn't going to be a theatre show with a couple of hundred people every, night. This was going to be seen by a lot of eyeballs. So and repeated viewing. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be around for a while. So I definitely went to town on. Well, he's meant to be in the desert for a long time, so you can't fake that sort of stuff. And it wasn't a body. They weren't looking for him to be built. He's meant to have walked through the desert for a long time. So it required a bit of a different thing. But I definitely feel that, I wish I wish those thoughts never occurred in my mind. I wish there was that I've never ever held any sort of thoughts of that nature. But I was glad in the sense that what I could do was just prep, man. So I never actually thought about it on set. To be fair, because I knew that I'd done the preparation of like, this is as close to where I think this character needs to be. And then on set, to be fair, it was like I didn't have too many scenes off in that film, so I was just really just focusing on not walking the scene, not falling over and saying my lines in the correct order, somewhat.
And oh shit!
Yeah,
exactly.
But after I finished and I was staying there, I was like, I've been doing what?
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. What's going on? But like I told you, I did go and run down the aisles of the supermarket, just fill my trolley up like I was Willy Wonka's lucky little winner. Yeah.
Best feeling, right? Actually, best worst debt to equity ratio, terrible. It's like, yeah, no,
Dude, terrible.
Yeah.
I broke a fast on just chocolate.
So
no, bad, dude.
Hey, speaking of prep, you're prepping You're prepping music now. Tell me about that. Like, I know your dad Peter was in a band growing up and all that stuff, and so you know
Amazing.
you have that history in your back pocket of music through the family. What's your inspiration for moving forward with music then?
Well, I've always loved music. There was a H2O band. I don't know if you remember them, Series 3, but that's not where it started. But my dad did.
My sister will be able to recall that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was whack. It's just hitting the tubs up the background at the Juice Net Cafe with some good. Yeah, it's there's a whole. This is another podcast actually.
100% done.
There's another world that exists there. But my dad Peter did play in bands and still does. So it's been a really very dear thing to our family. And my mum used to be his band manager back in the day. That's sort of how that went down. And my two brothers, Aiden and Rhett, they actually run music festivals on our family farm, of all things. So it's a huge part of our family. Music's been a massive thread. I can't remember a time where it hasn't been. So I played drums just wanting to emulate my older brother, Aiden. He was on drums. My brother Rhett was on bass. I probably should have jumped on guitar, but I was just like, drums.
That's cool.
That's cool. It was cool.
Yeah.
And but currently, during COVID, when everything was locked down, I was back on that very farm and loved being back there. Had come through out of a long-term relationship and just had a huge amount of, I needed to do something. So I ended up writing a lot of music. Learned guitar while I was at drama school, and not well, but well enough to at least express, express myself. And it was actually pretty, man, it kind of felt a bit, not literal, but I was either going to go into a crazy depression at that point, or I had the option of moving into expression, and that's what music provided for me at the time, is this awesome vehicle for expression. I wouldn't say any of it will ever see the light of day, or it was probably, but it felt like like full exploration, and just, man, expressing whatever the art form is, I think is quite literally can be the opposite of depression. I think it's highly not. People know about this, but I'd recommend it for anyone. Like, whatever your the form of expression, photography, sculpting, whatever art form, I think engaging imagination and creativity, and that what you talked about, that untangible thing that is unique to the individual. So, in a long answer to your question, yes, made that music and then met a very awesome individual who I may or may not be in the room, chilling in the room. Whoop. So we just turned into a mime skit. Just thought I'd do a little impromptu theatre right there and there.
Yeah.
So,
luckily for people in the podcast, they get to watch it on YouTube.
yeah, and you're like, whoa.
What was that?
Okay, what was that? Just a little tick going out. Kyle and I ended up making a bunch of music and have, up until this day. So it's been great collaborating with someone and taking it to that next level and being able to collab with a real musician and make some cool stuff.
Yeah. If for people who have never heard your stuff, who would you say would be your biggest inspiration in your music?
Oh, I actually grew up on a lot of my brothers, were listening. This is going to date myself, but it's fine. Nirvana, I actually grew up on a lot of Nirvana, but a lot of that grunge, like Rage Against the Machine, was a huge influence. Who else there was a lot of rap around at that time as well, so I was listening to a lot of that. And but then my dad and my mum, I got a great induction into great blues and soul and R&B and stuff, because Dad was playing those sort of things with his band. So was in the Beatles and Creedence Clearwater is a band that I really love as well. Yeah. There's a bunch of old school bands. I got I was very fortunate to have that sort of exposure to a bunch of different music. So those two worlds collided. But And then when I went to WAPA, the drama school, I got introduced to a whole nother side, which was more like jazz and maybe more R&B stuff and soul, a different sort of soul, neo soul, that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What sort of music do you like?
I did classical piano my whole life. Yeah. And then about grade 6, I got to the point when I was like, yeah, I don't really want to do this anymore. And my dad said, I got to find a new way to get Nathan really engaged in music. So he went to, remember, there was a music store called Allen's Music.
Is it no longer around?
Nah, they got bought out.
That's sad.
Yeah. So so he went out, bought 3 books for me. He bought Elton John's Best Hits.
Amazing.
And then Billy Joel Volume 1, Billy Joel Volume 2. So these are always like, these 2 guys have always been my go-tos, Billy Joel and Elton John.
Fantastic. Do you think it is that when you heard songs at a certain time, those fingerprints of that sort of music, that's the nostalgia, right?
Well, I was really lucky that my school asked me to do Piano Man because I did that for my final performance, and I had the harmonica and everything on piano and sing, and then so they got me to do it in front of the whole school. And so I remember my like final experience at school was doing Piano Man in front of them. Yeah, so that was kind of fun.
Dude, you've done those. Yeah, you're a man of mystery. This is cool.
We do a couple of things here and there.
Being modest, mate. Did anyone film that?
Yeah, I think so. I think my dad's probably got tape somewhere.
You bet he does. And don't think that he doesn't. What's your dad's name?
Cliff.
Don't think for a second Cliff doesn't, from time to time, return to that footage and be like, that's my boy.
Yeah, he probably does.
That's my son.
Yeah, they all do, right?
Yeah,
they always see us as their little kids. As I mentioned. Yeah, so when's this music going to come out?
Well,
is that a Carl question?
It's possibly a Kyle question, but also it's anonymous.
Oh,
it'll be under anonymous, so you'll never know.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Reason for that?
I think personally, I just want to be able to express. Maybe I just want to be able to express from a very neutral point of view, point of origin, where it's not Angus from that. Oh, this is it's just the music stands as it is, and if people vibe with it, that's great, and those that don't, that's fine as well. So I just wanted to maybe get a bit of a bearing of like, these are the sort of people that are interested genuinely in that sort of stuff, and this is it. It's connecting because it's connecting, not because of any other reason.
Yeah, you might have to do the Daft Punk thing and put the helmet on when you.
We've got a few things.
Get him on the mask. Yeah, the Masked Singer. There we go.
Damn. We'll see about that.
Okay.
There's some cool masks. I like masks.
Yeah.
I do like masks. I've got quite a few different ones from all over the world.
Are you a mask collector? Or is there something
I would say
about
I'm
masks?
a mask collector.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is there a reason for mask collecting? Not talking about COVID masks, right?
No.
Yeah, this one's from 2020 in March when I was going down to the shopping centre. They made me put it on. And
that's it. Each perfectly detailed and perfectly preserved.
It's a Luxar droplet on my...
Oh, come on. We all got a few. Got a few coffee stains on some masks. I had a cool... a grandfather of a dear friend of mine who he had this house up on top of this hill. He lived in this at the back of this house of the family, and he was an artist. He was a Polish dude who'd survived World War II and in the most unlikely circumstances, and he'd been traveling all around the world at that time and collecting. He was a painter but a sculptor, and he had these amazing pieces of artwork. His house was like a little museum, and he had masks around from all around the world. And I just remember in old school Indiana Jones. It reminded me of just there's just a feeling I got from that. And then when I went to study drama, I got introduced to mask work there. And so I learned about it more from an artistic point of view. And we had a chance to go to Greece at one point to do that Shakespeare play. We actually took it to Greece and performed it in this old school amphitheater on this little island that you could only get to by boat, and all the audience came across on boat. It was wild. Talk about am I dreaming? Sort of. We're all in old traditional. That was what. In fact, that island, Hydra, if anyone gets a chance, check it out. It's a little island called Hydra in Greece. And Leonard Cohen wrote the song Hallelujah
No.
up in a cave. This is what I'm told. This is their claim.
Yeah.
Up in a cave, there's a cave that he found up in the mountains on this island. He went and channeled Hallelujah and captured it. So it's like, I don't know, it's just that whole time was just surreal and really beautiful. And the Greek theater, they used a lot of mask work as well. Ironically, I mean, all the superheroes, like, why do we drawn to this? What is it about masks that can reveal something that primal and archetypical, is that the word?
Yeah,
Archetype.
yeah.
You know the word I'm
Yeah.
zeroing in on. And that same teacher, Elizabeth Kemp, she got me to do a lot of mask work with dream symbolism and using dream symbolism with mask work. And it just it was an extraordinary exploration, something it left an impression on me, and it helped me get into lucid dreaming. So those
kind of led you. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Wow. Are you still teaching kids acting as well?
Not currently, but it's definitely something that I was doing up to Ross. I like teaching. I didn't realize that, but I definitely like. I don't maybe lead with the mask shadow work, lucid dreaming stuff with the young crew.
Hey, come over here. I got this to show you.
Come check out this. But I do think that it's fascinating to me that I do drop little things about dreams, though, and just because kids often remember it's us that sort of, as we get older, lose a bit of that memory of those things. Kids are dreaming and I did this and I was talking to this person.
Yeah.
And so I love acting and I do love teaching it. I realize there's a great fulfillment in seeing other people succeed, and it's really cool to know that I can enjoy somebody else's progress as well. As it doesn't just have to be my own. Whereas when I was younger, I probably thought just it was experiencing. I was happy for other people, but I was predominantly happy for my things that were going well. Whereas teaching's taught me, no, I can be just as happy, or if not more happy, when I see them succeeding, which is one of the better gifts I've come across.
Yes. I want to know, last question. Your dream project, I know you mentioned C is something that you are really keen on, the Momoa show.
I love that.
Yeah. And OA, you're a big fan of that as well?
Yes.
Yeah. If you could put yourself into any film right now or any series, what would it be?
Well, I'm Cyclops in X-Men.
We know that already. That's revealed here on the Business Bubble. It's going to go viral. Yeah.
Well, other than that, I really dug C. I thought was very something about that concept. I love high concept stuff, and thought that was done in a really tasteful. Well, there's a new Lord of the Rings films being made. I'd have to say I'd love to be involved with that, because that talk about the hero's journey and myth and mythology and stuff. Lord of the Rings, the OG trilogy growing up was like, I saw it right at the great age. So I'd happily I'd do anything. I'd help on either side of the camera to be a part of Lord of the Rings.
And New Zealand's not that far away, right?
It's not that far. It's just across the pond, mate.
It's just take a little boat down there. And, right. Angus, I'm so grateful for you. I appreciate you, brother.
I'm grateful for you, brother.
Yeah, I think I need to go pee now after this, but
it's been a real treat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm taking your offer, midnight premiere for one of these big movies.
You got it, dude.
Done.
Lock it in.
All right.
Lock it in, and we're going to stick around until the end credits.
Amen to that.
Amen to that.
Love it. You're done. You're done with that.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.